What's up, Hammer supporters? Before diving into today's news, smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you think about West Ham's situation. You won't want to miss anything. West Ham once again have a new opportunity to sign a young and promising striker, someone who could represent the solution to a problem that has dragged on for months, the lack of a fast, physically strong center forward with his future ahead of him. This scenario presents itself again with the name of Leonardo, a player who has already been on the board's radar in previous transfer windows and who may now be more accessible than ever. During the last European summer, it became clear to everyone, fans, journalists, and specialists, that the London club had made a strategic mistake by not bringing in a striker of this profile. The need to rejuvenate the attacking line was evident, especially because the club relied only on veteran options prone to injuries. This miscalculation became even more obvious recently after yet another injury suffered by Niklas Füllkrug while playing for the German national team. The German striker, who turns 33 this season, is part of an attack considered one of the oldest and most fragile in the Premier League in physical terms. Alongside him is Callum Wilson, who will turn 34 before this cycle ends. They are an experienced duo, but with a worrying track record of medical problems. It is enough to remember that Füllkrug spent 6 of the 9 months of last season sidelined with injury without managing to show whether he could compete at a high level in English football. Even in this context, the Hammers chose not to invest in a young striker during the transfer window and limited themselves to the free signing of Wilson, who also carries his own injury history. Thus, the attack became dependent on 2 players who can hardly cope with the demanding run of fixtures that the Premier League relentlessly requires. When the transfer deadline passed without a prospect for the future being added to the squad, the fans reacted with anger and frustration. The board even admitted afterwards that they could consider looking at out-of-contract players, but without making any firm promises. The truth is that the supporters want much more than that. They are asking for someone capable of wearing the shirt for several seasons, a striker who excites and symbolizes renewal. And this is precisely where Leonardo re-emerges as an almost tailor-made solution. The 22-year-old had already caught the eye of West Ham's directors back in January 2023, when he was still playing for Santos in Brazil. At that time, however, negotiations did not advance, and he continued to display his goal-scoring instinct in South American football, racking up an impressive 54 goals for the São Paulo club before moving to Europe. With Tim Stuyden's arrival as West Ham's sporting director in the summer of 2023, talks to try to sign the Brazilian were resumed. Stuyden, who had already identified Leonardo as a special talent, made more than one attempt to get the deal done. The striker was seen as a priority mainly because he combined youth physical strength and decision-making ability. Despite the effort, an agreement was not reached, and in January 2024, Leonardo ended up joining Benfica for just £15 million. The Portuguese side, however, included a very high release clause of £135 million, showing how much they believed in his resale value. The Brazilian did not disappoint. In only 6 months of adaptation in Lisbon, he found the net 8 times and confirmed his reputation as a natural goal scorer. Shortly afterwards, Benfica decided to sell the player to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, in a transfer whose official values were not disclosed, but which guaranteed the European club a profit. Today, however, an unexpected twist has emerged. Leonardo and his representatives are considering a contractual termination on just cause grounds, since the striker was not registered to play the season with the Saudi team, preventing him from exercising his profession. According to information revealed by renowned Brazilian journalists Andre Hernan and Bruno Andrade in an ESPN report, the situation of Leonardo could open up an important loophole. FIFA regulations state that in cases like this, if a player has his contract terminated for just because he is allowed to sign with a new club, even outside the official transfer window. In other words, if the termination goes through, Leonardo would be free to choose his next destination immediately. This scenario creates a rare opportunity for West Ham. Club president David Sullivan now has the chance to correct the mistake of the last transfer market and secure a young striker who fits perfectly with the profile desired by Graham Potter and head of recruitment Kyle McCauley. Both have been advocating for a transfer policy focused on rising talents, players who can contribute immediately while also offering long-term value. Leonardo has already shown that he can shine against elite opponents. In the last Club World Cup, he scored against Manchester City, displaying composure and finishing quality on one of football's most demanding stages. This reinforces the perception that he is not just a prospect, but a striker ready to perform at the highest level. For West Ham, signing the Brazilian would be a smart move. He could be integrated, gradually sharing minutes with Wilson and Füllkrug, two experienced players, but with limited physical capacity to play consecutive matches. Over time, Leonardo would naturally assume the role of the team's attacking leader. Another point in his favor is the adaptation environment. West Ham's current squad already includes three Brazilians, Lucas Paqueta, Luis Guilherme, and Igor Julio. The presence of compatriots would be crucial in helping the young striker feel at home in London, reducing the cultural and linguistic barriers. This support network could play a decisive role in speeding up his adaptation to the intense pace of the Premier League. It is worth remembering that this is not the first time the London club has monitored players in similar situations in Saudi Arabia. Recently, Portuguese winger Jota was also targeted after being left out of Al Ittihad's squad list. Leonardo's case, however, seems even more favorable as he is still on the rise and already boasts impressive numbers for his age. He is just 9 goals away from reaching the milestone of 100 in his professional career, an outstanding achievement for someone only 22 years old. But West Ham are not the only club interested. In Brazil, Flamengo are closely following the situation and considering the possibility of bringing the striker back after his successful spell at Santos before moving to Europe. The idea of having a young goal scorer already tested in international competitions appeals strongly to the Flamengo board, who constantly look for impactful signings to maintain their dominance in South American football. Should Flamengo move forward, Leonardo would have the chance to return to his home country at one of the most high-profile clubs on the continent, although it would require significant financial investment. That is why West Ham must act quickly. In addition to Premier League clubs with a strong history of signing Brazilian players such as Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton, there is now also growing competition from the South American market. If the London side hesitate, they could once again miss out on an opportunity that has already slipped through their fingers before. As the saying goes, one should not look a gift horse in the mouth. And another reminds us that those with few options cannot afford to be picky. Both perfectly apply to West Ham's current situation. Sullivan and Potter are facing an almost unique chance delivered unexpectedly and must decide whether they will take advantage of this opportunity that seems to have been handed to them like a neatly wrapped gift. The arrival of Marcos Leonardo would not only solve an immediate problem in the squad, but also symbolize a step towards a stronger future. It would send a clear message that the club is willing to learn from recent mistakes and invest in players capable of defining an era. The next move now depends entirely on the courage and vision of those leading West Ham. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Matteas Fernandez is experiencing a week that will remain etched in his memory forever. In the space of just a few days, the young midfielder has not only been officially unveiled as West Ham's latest record signing, but he has also made an impressive Premier League debut and had the honor of wearing the captain's armband for Portugal's under-21 national team. For a player who has only recently turned 21, such a rapid sequence of milestones has the potential to shape the entire trajectory of his career. His arrival at West Ham was already a major talking point. Signed for more than £40 million, Fernandez immediately entered the history books as the club's third most expensive acquisition, behind only Lucas Paqueta and Sebastian Haller. With that price tag comes enormous responsibility and pressure, yet from the very beginning, he showed no sign of intimidation. On his debut against Nottingham Forest, Fernandez made an instant impression. Combining quickly with Lucas Paqueta, he won a foul that shifted the momentum of the game and left no doubt that he had the confidence to take on a central role in midfield. It was a moment that signaled not just potential, but readiness to be a protagonist in one of the toughest leagues in the world. Just days later, his journey took another remarkable turn. Returning to his homeland, he once again pulled on the Portugal under-21 shirt, but this time as captain. In what was his 17th appearance for the national side, he led the team out, started the move that resulted in an opening goal, and played a vital role in a commanding 5-0 victory over Azerbaijan. The Portuguese press were unanimous in their praise, highlighting his physical strength, his ability to drive with the ball through midfield, and his eye for quick, incisive passing that can dismantle defensive lines. But perhaps most significant was the symbolism of the captain's armband. More than just a strip of fabric, it was an acknowledgement that Fernandez is already regarded as the heartbeat of the team, a natural leader whose influence extends beyond technical skill. This extraordinary week underscores two clear truths. Firstly, West Ham were right to place a major bet on a young player who already demonstrates maturity well beyond his age. Secondly, Fernandez is not merely a prospect for the future. He is already a player of real substance in the present. At the London Stadium, both fans and staff view him as someone capable of transforming the midfield, injecting dynamism, power, and creativity into an area that has been searching for leadership since the departure of Declan Rice. To simultaneously captain a national team at under-21 level and make an immediate impact in the Premier League is no small achievement. It requires ambition, talent, and character in equal measure. Fernandez has already proven that he possesses all of these attributes. His immediate chemistry with Lucas Paqueta is another encouraging sign suggesting the emergence of a partnership that could become one of West Ham's most influential. Wearing the armband for Portugal was more than a symbolic gesture. It was a statement that even at 21, Fernandez is respected as a leader. And when that kind of respect arrives so early, it often foreshadows a similar role at club level, where leadership is measured not only through ability on the ball, but also through example and consistency. If his debut in the Premier League represented the first step, then his commanding performance with Portugal served as confirmation. Fernandez has shown that he can carry the weight of a record feed, live up to the trust of a passionate fan base, and proudly represent his country while leading a team on the international stage. The future will always carry uncertainty, but the present is already glowing with promise. West Ham may have secured not just one of the most expensive signings in their history, but a player who could go on to define an era at the club. For the supporters who prize resilience, determination, and flair, this beginning offers something much greater than hope. It is the clearest sign yet that a new star is rising in East London. And that's all for today's West Ham news. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with fellow fans, and of course subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, you Irons!